And welcome back to the creative world of logo design. This is section 2, and in section 2 we're going to cover the types of logos, and we're going to get into all different types of logos, what they look like, and I'll explain it to you. And in the first section we did a rundown of company branding and recognition, which we have something like this, and of course that would be a client's idea of what sort of thing they're looking for. And now, passing this stuff off, we're going to want as much detail as possible about all of our ideas, including a directive that has those ideas also. And right now, I think what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at the different types of logos there are available out there. And different types of logos are things like wordmark logos, textural, enclosed, and combined logos. So we can go look at some examples of these. And with a wordmark logo, we have all different types of logos we can see, and of course recognize by their company brand. Whether it be their font, their different color wording. This is examples of wordmark logos. Maybe what I'll do is just give you a brief explanation of wordmark, or logo type is usually a distinct text-only typographic treatment of the name of a company, institution, or product name, used for purposes of identification and branding. And you might even want to take a little inspiration from this page and all these wonderful logos, and hammer out some of your own ideas. Just get the ideas flowing. So we've got our Wasp Away product here that we can always do things with, change around. And if anything, it's just a little bit of variety. Gives you something to look at, something to work with, something to build on. Because right now, of course, we're just coming up with ideas and different things in what we might want to do with our logos in the end. And this here gives us a really good idea of wordmark logos, which, following this format, we're going to take a look at textural logos. And your textural logos will consist of your text and, in some cases, other elements. And when I say other elements, that's endless. But either way, your text, your elements, and your textural, as you can see, a lot of these elements in here. That's the textural part, not the text, but textural. And from our textural logos, you can get a better look there. We're going to move on over to enclosed logos. It's that kind of self-explanatory. They're enclosed. And some examples of enclosed logos are these. It's all going to be nicely enclosed. If you can see, this one's it's transparent. Put a drop shadow on that. Very nice. Closed. Consider those enclosed or boxed logos. What we're doing here is we're getting an idea of just different types of logos that are out there. I think the enclosed or boxed, that's my favorite type of logos. So from enclosed and box logos, you can then take a look at combined logos. And combined logos, in this case, are just combining two logos to make one different logo. That's a really nice example. And here we're going to take it back in time and just look at some examples of when people used to just hand paint signs and logos, which back in the old days was pretty much what logos were all about. Your hand painted signs on your businesses. And this type of thing you can incorporate into original fonts, because I will discuss how you can actually just hand draw your own fonts and use software to turn those into actual working fonts, which you can then use in your logo designs. Because remember, we always want to be original. And although we look at other people's stuff for inspiration, it's our own originality that makes logos good. Now let's fast forward time into the modern day and take a look at some of these pictures here and see what kind of company branding we can recognize. Obviously, all of them. But based on people's different original logos and the way they look, we're able to recognize that company's brand. And through that company's brand, we're able to recognize the products they sell. And if we see it enough times, we're probably going to want to buy it. Now let's just shuffle through these and see what different types of logos we can recognize here. Okay, well, this one appears to be a boxed or enclosed type logo. Over here, this would represent textural. And once again, textural is the texture that comprises that particular logo. And in this case, it's the lettering, the different texture, and the colors. Those would be gradients. It's another boxed. Now, we've got our word marks. If we want to take a look at some of the word mark logos up here, we can go in and just see a bunch. Right now, I'm going to provide you with an example of what a textural logo might look like. Texture. And this will give you an idea of how we can make different textures within the text itself. First, let's just find something nice. Oh, look, stars. Okay. Now if we set its fill to a linear gradient, you'll notice right off the bat that we have a wonderful texture going on within those stars. And that texture goes from blue to white and it washes out. But we can always change that so you can see it. There you go. Very nicely textured. We can also take this and see what other things we can do to turn it into different types of logos, or to just get ideas and play around with it. We can take that and we can also cover up the rest of our stars by using a solid color, white. So here we have our textured star. And maybe we would like to incorporate a word mark brand into there. So we can just take our words and just start typing. And that, it just might not work for us, so let's go and get something a little more basic that we can just play around with to just provide examples on how we might use this to create a company brand for ourselves. And there you have it. Well, as we know, any idea is a good idea, so with that in mind, even if you're not inclined to do graphics and you have available software like this and you are not the one that will be doing the end logo, of course you can always just use your trusty pencil, make any sort of highlights or details concerning your logos and your designs, because all together, everything combined, you will be passing off to a designer who can home in on these things. Or maybe you are the designer and this is nothing but a diary of different types of logos, different types of ideas that you can be working with, working off of, and then that way you can build a library and you can have content to pick from. Because Often you will be doing an incredible amount of logo design and logo work for all sorts of companies concerning all sorts of types of different logos. And as long as it's original and you haven't used it in somebody else's logo, you can always pick it out of your inventory and use it there for future ideas. And we're going to get into the third section of this tutorial, and we're going to cover clients next.